Welcome to Lykken on Lending, the podcast that dives deep into the heart of the mortgage industry. Your host, David Lykken, bringing you the latest insights, trends, and updates from the world of mortgages. Whether you're a seasoned industry veteran or just getting started, this show is your go-to source for all things mortgage. Let's get started. This is Lykken on Lending. Now your host, David Lykken.
Listeners, we've got a very important update we want to share with you. I'm here in Cancun for the Lenders One Conference with the Gulf of America behind us. Joining me on today's podcast again is one of my favorite guests, Pavan Agarwal. Pavan, good to have you with us.
Good to be here, David. Got some really interesting news coming out of Microsoft that I wanted to share.
Yeah, that's what I want to talk about. And so I want to share this quickly with our listeners because we'll put a link to the news out of Microsoft in the show notes. And also you go to LinkedIn, look at what I posted that Mustafa Suleyman, the president of Microsoft AI, posted. But there's a lot going on. So Pavan, bring us up to date.
Yeah, so this news comes in the back of DeepSeek, showing that a full AI system can be built for a few $1 million. And then after DeepSeek, there was another company, I think in Seattle, that built it for a few $100s. And that's called AI distilling. That's taking the output from a big model, big expense. So someone else spend tens, hundreds of millions of dollars building a model. Then you take the output of that and then retrain your AI. And now you can get it done for cheap. It's cheating is what they did.
Yeah, exactly.
It's level of cheating.
It's also done in an LLM. Also, right?
Right, yes.
Yeah, so and that's not what Angel AI is built on. It's not an LLM, and it's a really important. We've covered that before. It'd be worth it to go in and cover that just real briefly, the difference between an LLM and what you've been. Large language model. When I say LLM, I'm saying it quickly. You just want to make sure our listeners get that.
Yeah, so LLMs are a special kind of neural network, and they're amazing. We all use them, and they do some incredible things. And they're very good at finding patterns in existing data and generating new output based on combination of other patterns. And so that's why you can go into LLM and say, write me an essay about the fall of Rome, and it would generate it. And it's mostly accurate. Sometimes it'll make up stuff because that's what they're trained to do, is to make up stuff. It's just to fill in the blanks. Whereas,
as a contrast to what Angel AI does.
Like, for example, if I said right now to you, David, see Jack fill in the blank.
Yep.
What would you say? What would you say?
See Jack run.
Exactly. You're right. But maybe the answer is see Jack walk or see Jack sleep.
Yeah.
Right. But most likely is see Jack run. Okay. And that's what these AI systems do. And that's why they're so cool. And they look like they're reasoning because they do something that is really hard for human beings, which is they could generate text that is grammatically perfect and syntactically perfect. Okay, and for human beings, that's really hard because human beings are very hard at being accurate all the time, right? At following exact rules consistently. That's very hard for human beings, but that's really easy for machines. That's what machines are good for, is following rules. So when you ask an LLM, when you ask the modern AI system to generate text for you, it'll generate this beautiful English, right? And it's perfect. And then you think, oh my God, this is magic. But you stop for a minute and think about it. No, that's a machine. That's not magic. That's what machines are good at. Magic is what we are, which was we can come up with completely novel ideas and approaches out of the sky, out of nowhere. It's creation, right? Because we are God's creation, so we have the ability to create. Right? A machine does not have the ability to create. Okay, so a little bit of that God's divinity is in us, so we're able to create as well. Okay,
good point.
So let's not confuse the machine from consciousness. Is two very different things. Okay, the CEO of Microsoft, Nadella, was on a podcast, and he explained in that podcast two interesting things. One is artificial general intelligence is not anywhere close, right? Unlike what Elon Musk recently tweeted that the singularity is near. And I think Elon is exercising a little bit of poetic freedom there and also keeping his investors happy and excited, right? He needs to keep them motivated. But I think what Elon is talking about is we're looking at next generation of AI, which is going to be much cooler than the stuff that we've seen so far. Okay, but it's not singularity. Singularity is really when an AI can reason like a human. You can't tell it apart. So if we stop and think about it, what does that mean? a 5-year-old child has maybe been exposed to 100,000 words in his life up to that point. If you really want to push it, maybe he's been exposed to a million words. And the 5-year-old child can learn a language with such little exposure and start creating new thoughts and new sentences on ideas that he's never heard before, right? He's at a very limited exposure. You can start creating new stuff. Now, if you put a million words, if you give only a million words to an AI and says, now start creating and talking and creating new stuff, it'll never do it. It just can't. It'll just give you gibberish if it gives you anything at all, right? There is definitely a difference between human consciousness and AI. And that is the best way to understand it.
It's a good way to put it. And having a granddaughter who's just learning to talk, have a couple of them actually, just learning how to talk, and they're younger than 2 years old. So at varying degrees, that's really interesting to use that model. It's a great example.
So Nadella basically said in this podcast, he said, we're being cautious about our investments in AI, and they're actually not pouring in that much more money into OpenAI. OpenAI is going out, Sam Altman is going out and raising money from other sources. Right. So he's constantly out trying to get more money into OpenAI because it's such an expensive endeavor. So what he's seeing and what other people are seeing is that where's the economic value of AI? Where we spend all this money building these models, but
huge, multiple millions, hundreds of millions,
billions, hundreds of billions of dollars. But he's saying it isn't translating into real world. It is not transforming companies like where we have, there's a lot of promise, a lot of hope because of, you see this amazing stuff that it does. But now let's translate that into actual economics. Where are we going to get $500 billion out of this or not, of increased efficiency? And so he's not seeing that. That's what he's saying. He's not saying that it's not there. What he's saying is he has to be very careful about what projects he funds.
At Microsoft.
Yeah. Remember, Microsoft at this point, nothing more than a really big venture fund, right? They're out gobbling up startups and projects and taking ideas, right? So they're very careful about what they get involved in because they see that most, and this is generally, it's not just Nadella, but I've been all over the world talking to family offices, the guys who invested in XAI and Google and all these first line investors and all these big AI initiatives, right? And they all tell me the same thing. They'll put money in XAI because it's Elon Musk and he never fails. That's why they put it in there, right? But they're all worried about the same thing, is which one of these projects, although they look really good, and the demos look really flashy, which one of these projects are going to actually deliver value, right? Are going to actually, if you spend $1 billion on the technology, is it going to deliver $10 billion of economic uplift? They're very private equity, family offices, and venture funds have been burned actually over the last 12, 24 months. And they certainly poured money into a lot of projects. And when they look under the hood, they see there's nothing there and that they're not going to convert. They're not going to, at least no time soon, in no near future will these projects actually return the economic value that is being invested in their development. Okay, so bottom line is that it isn't like the bubble has burst. The AI bubble hasn't burst. It's that
it's becoming educated and realistic expectations of what they can get out of it. And so, and now caution, intelligent caution is coming in to money that's been chasing this seemingly pipe dream.
And I wouldn't say pipe dream. Just money that didn't.
Well, when I say pipe dream, all the promises, all the businesses that are being formed, many of them are probably not going to succeed. And I think that's where, in contrast to what you've done at Angel AI, it's real interesting.
Yeah. So what they're looking for now, so the formula that venture funds and investors are looking for is, don't show me an idea, don't show me a concept, don't show me a mock-up, but I need to see real world application. I need to see it work.
Wow.
Okay. So
Makes sense.
The bar is a lot higher, right? Show me that you have customers. Show me that how it's actually helping customers, and what is it actually doing, right? Don't just show me a concept, and show me the numbers. Does it really deliver the cost benefit? Does it really deliver the new sales or whatever it is that you claim it will, that you claim the AI will do? And until I see that, I'm not investing. What is causing people to understand there's trillions of dollars sitting in the sidelines right now that are desperate to get deployed. There's a lot of wealth out there that's just trying to find a good investment. It's trying to find a place to put a vehicle to put it in. Okay, so the AI bubble hasn't popped. It has right size. It is still going to expand, but the money that's going to come into this is you better know what you're doing and you better really understand it. And the investors are digging in deep to your experience. They're digging in deep into your history, the people behind the product, and they're actually digging deep into the technology to see if it really works before they get involved in it. So that's the state of affairs.
So what's really interesting about this is that you have developed, Angel AI has actually developed a practical application that has exactly the thing you're talking about.
Right.
You had last month, and I hope I'm not sharing this out of school, but you had 8,000 new people sign up and use it. This is something that a lot of people are signing up for the large language model, but does it have a practical application? Yours is actually a practical application where it's at. You're on target, if I understood you correctly, to say 10,000 users in the month of March. That is extraordinary.
Right. So we saw a 14%. So January over February, we saw a 14% growth. And February over March, we're predicting another 15 to 20% growth.
Wow. So contrast that to like what Sam Altman is building. I mean, they have a lot of usage, but there's no practical. But you can say, how would you say? It's not that they don't have. For those of us that are using it, we're grateful for what it does, but it doesn't have a real world business application such as what yours does, is making mortgages, helping people to credit.
I would put it this way: the amount of work that it actually does, relative to the amount of money that's been spent developing it, it doesn't pencil out. Right. Effort is to develop it, is to make it smarter so that it can start doing real back office work, like the kind of stuff that we're already doing. Now, people listening to this probably wondering, okay, so what makes you special? Why you got it and these guys haven't? Well, we're different. Yeah. Right? I've been working on these algorithms for 20 plus years. I've been trying to put this together. And it's a different kind of model. In fact, actually, it's really exciting because I think just last weekend we released a major upgrade to our inference engine. What inference means is you chat with the AI and the AI is able to determine what you mean. Right? It's an AI term, but basically means if I said...
it understands what you're inferring. That's really interesting.
If I say, gee, David, you look great right now. And that could just mean a compliment that, you dressed nicely and you're looking great. Or it could mean I'm asking you out for a date. So the inference, if you get the inference wrong, it could be really awkward, right?
Right. Yes, it would be very awkward. Very good point. Yeah.
Accurate inference is really important. Now, in financial services, if you get the wrong inference, then the guy says, I make $3,000 a month, and if it inferred that to mean I have $3,000 a month in debt, your whole deal blows up, right? And you get it wrong, right? So
that's a good example of inference. So when someone says I have $3,000 a month in income, or they say I make $3,000, then the inference says it goes to income rather than debt or some other application.
That's an example. Yeah.
So you just updated your inference engine. Is that what I heard you say?
That's right. It was pretty good before, but it's crazy. It's scary good right now. It's practically thinking. And we have, again, it's custom built. The flip side to that, because it's custom built, we don't need 10,000 GPUs. We didn't have to train it with the nuclear power plant, right? And it's built specifically for the mortgage and real estate industry. Now, with the foundation model done, we can add, with the mechanism in place, we can add any industry to it if we wanted to, and we are. So we're just about to roll out insurance, so auto, life, homeowners insurance. Last year we rolled out credit repair, which has been just amazing for our customers.
We should stress that that's free. I mean, you do that for free.
Everything we do is free or near free, right? And next month we'll have your tax returns ready to go. So you'll be able to file your April tax returns, assuming we still have to pay taxes. Hopefully Trump makes through on his promises and gets rid of the IRS.
We have to get into that because I really want to get an update to your thoughts on what's going on there. Yeah, good.
Yeah, so we got tax returns, we got payday loans coming, online banking, we got a bank partner, credit cards. New models can be added now so fast. Imagine, these are projects if you would have to have an army of 100 engineers, any one of these projects, insurance, just think about it, an insurance workflow, right? You need an army of 100 engineers working on it for 2 years to barely get it right. And we did this in literally 2 months.
Wow. How were
Right.
you able to do that? Explain. I know you have a lot of jealous competitors out there, and they're out posting things that look like they've ripped off your script, and they're posting it like they're doing it, and it's an original thought. And I guess you could say plagiarism is the highest form of flattery. You're getting a lot flattered out there. So explain why you're able to do this, and others are promising something that they most likely will not be able to.
Yeah, so I'll tell you under the hood how our engine works. So it's what we call nanobots. There's these little tiny cells, just like the Iron Man suit.
Okay.
And so all these little bots, they work together. Okay. And so we have like millions of bots. So you give it a document and all these bots come in and then they eat the document basically and figure out what's going on.
Yep.
Yeah. And update the data on the loan, do all the calculations, do everything that needs to be done. And once they crunch through all the documents, maybe they say, oh, you need another document because this has a large deposit or whatever, right? And it just takes care of all the communication, everything. And so for any new service that we do, right, any new product that we offer, right, we just train new bots, right? And it doesn't take an army of engineers to do it because these bots self-learn. They create themselves.
Interesting.
And they multiply. It's like an organism. They duplicate and multiply by themselves. So we just have to direct that. That's why the company is called Celligence. It's cellular intelligence. So these are the same. You hear this when you.
And I want to clarify that because I talk about SunWest, we talk about Angel AI. Angel AI is a product of Celligence. It's a sister company to SunWest Mortgage Corporation.
Correct. And so when you read tech news and tech podcasts, they'll mention something they'll call something called AI agents. So AI agents is really relatively new in the tech world, and they've been talking about it for maybe 6 months now. Okay, but AI agents is the precursor to cells. Right. So we had this technology 10 years ago. Right? We were building this stuff because we figured out that's the only way. But AI agents are fat, they're big and heavy. Cells are really tiny, and millions of really tiny cells. And that's the trade secret. That's how it works. Good luck trying to replicate it because it's like a dozen patents around this thing. So I'm happily talking about it because I know I'm well protected on the patents.
That's right. It's amazing. So, Pavan, let's summarize this into a real neat package here with what we're trying to talk about here today in this podcast. Microsoft said what and how? What do you want our listeners to know about it?
Microsoft said that all the money is being spent in developing AIs in the current form of AIs. Mm-hmm. They're being very cautious. They're being careful. They're being very careful to make sure that it will translate into real world business applications. That it would translate into actual rise in efficiency. And they're being very selective of which products they invest in, which startups they invest in, so that they can make sure that there is a underlying science and like there has to be deep engineering and science ethos of that company and a strategy that can actually deliver value to businesses that deploy it. So bottom line is what they're saying is if you have a business and you can't just say that business is now an AI business because you took ChatGPT or Meta's Llama or Google's, whatever they call Google's thing, and plugged it in, and now you have a bot that's answering some questions. They're basically saying that's not enough. And
I think that's a really important point on that because we see so many new initiatives being announced within our industry. We're the newest AI engine, and it's really not even close to anything like what you developed.
Yeah, I had dinner 2 days ago with a very large broker, and he said after a lot of hype and review of one of the systems, right? And then he actually looked at it. It was hyped as the mother of all AIs for the mortgage industry. And then when he looked into it, And he said all it does is a note taker for a loan officer, right? He's okay. This is right. I'm going back to Angel AI. This is nothing.
Classic marketing language. And
Yeah.
I think it's listeners, you need to be checking out what you're investing in. You say, I'm not putting money into it. If you're putting time into anything, you're investing. And the more time you put into it, the more you're getting behind what's really out there and happening. Pavan, that's really fascinating.
Yeah, and I think the capital is gone. If there's a company, whether it's a traditional company or a new startup that says, I'm going to invest $100 million and build out a full AI platform. I'm going to build out a full AI mortgage or bank or whatever, right? Getting Silicon Valley or getting family offices to take you seriously is very hard. They're going to say, who are your scientists and engineers? And what novel technology have you developed? Because we know you can't just do that by plugging in. But you simply cannot do what you want to do by plugging in Llama or ChatGPT. It's not going to work. So that's a better summary. It's like the Silicon Valley has come to the conclusion that if you want to revolutionize your traditional brick and mortar business, right, and automate it with AI, there's a lot more to it than just plugging in ChatGPT or Llama or something like that. There is serious hardcore engineering you have to do. And do you have the depth and expertise and the leadership that understands that engineering that can develop it and deliver it? Right, so they're going to look really hard at the resumes and your experience, and they're going to actually look really hard at how long have you been doing it. Right. I
think the fact that patents, how well protected is what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I think if you have patents around it, is it even something someone can patent? Which you have. How many patents do you have right now, and how many do you have pending?
I was looking at the list yesterday. It was 83 international patents we have so far.
Wow, international patents. Wow.
And we're filing on average of 2 new patents a month.
Wow. So that is going to be difficult for someone to come in and try to do what you've developed. That's really interesting.
Right. Yeah, first get on the patent, but the second is just, even if you didn't have the patents, you got to have the know-how. You got to know what you're doing. I know how to engineer an AI system. Like, I know not just how to use ChatGPT, but I know how to build ChatGPT, right? That's the difference, right? And do you ask yourself, do you have people in a team that can build it wire by wire, neuron by neuron? If you have people in your team that can build it at the neuron level and understand it at that level, then go give it a shot. If you don't, if you have people that says they're the world's best prompt engineers and have fancy words on their resume like data scientists par excellence or whatever, right? That ain't going to work. Right? And I'll give you another hint. Anybody who's looking to do this is the way we interview for engineers. We start with the fundamentals. We test their math. You're going to be doing AI engineering, and you're going to be building these networks. How good is your math? And we go right at the core, right?
Really
fundamental math skills. Like how strong is your math and your ability to solve complex math problems? And if you've got that down, then you go to the next round of review and testing.
Amazing. Pavan, this is all so interesting, and I appreciate you coming on to Saturday when I'm down here in Cancun. And normally this is your background. You're there in San Juan. I'm here in Cancun. So you just have a wall behind you because the beautiful setting that I have behind me is right there where you live. Thanks so much for coming.
I have Angel up here.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Pavan, again, kudos to you and your success. 8,000 new users in February and now going up to over 10,000 in March. It's extraordinary growth. Congratulations.
Thank you, David.
Good to have you with us. Folks, check out the links and share this with those that think they need to invest in AI. They may want to rethink it after listening to this interview. Thank you.
You've been listening to Lykken on Lending. Our passion is to bring you the latest insights, trends, and updates from the world of mortgages. So on this show, if you're a seasoned industry veteran or just getting started, it's your go-to source for all things mortgage. We hope you've enjoyed the show. We'll be back soon. Take care, and we'll see you next time on Lykken on Lending.